Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Safest Family on the Block. I'm your host, Jason, and joining us today is the one and only traveling twin mama, Marquita. Hello.
Hey there, how's it going?
Really great, and even better now that you're with us. Now, Marquita has been to 36 different countries, and after she had her twins, she was set on showing them the world. And once she saw the world through their eyes, she wanted to inspire and educate other women and families to travel with their children with confidence and safety. And so, myself being a parent and a travel geek as well, we got along on Instagram, and here she is to talk about her safe travel journeys and her travel journeys as a parent. And I'm so glad to have you here. Now,
I'm
what?
excited to be here.
Yeah. Now it sounds like you traveled quite a bit before you had kids.
Indeed. So I
Yeah.
travel for work
Mm.
internationally. So I did a lot of traveling and then that kind of opened up my eyes. And then my husband and I would travel as well. So it became a thing.
And a lot of parents who enjoyed traveling before they had kids, I think they have this idea that, well, we'll go to Disneyland once, but forget crossing an ocean, forget exotic travel until they're grown and in college, and then maybe we can go again, which unfortunately misses some of the best traveling years.
Exactly, exactly. And I think it's
Mhm.
because a lot of people tell them, oh, you're not going to be able to travel once those kids come. Like, I
Mhm.
can't count how many times I've heard that.
Mhm. Or how many times you've done it. So,
Exactly.
yeah. Yeah. Now, my own family, when my boys were 5 turning 6 and 15 turning 16, we spent a year in Malaysia just traveling all over out there. And so you're preaching to the choir here about taking your kids out into the world. And one of the things I think that we can both agree on, and that my viewers really kind of need to hear maybe, is how good it is for kids, especially young kids, to get out of their neighborhood and out of their
Yes.
country.
Oh, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful to see kids who don't speak the same language and they're just sitting there playing with one another and
Mm-hmm.
interacting with one another and just learning about other people's cultures and it's really a beautiful experience.
No, I absolutely agree. One of my fondest memories from that trip was we were in passport control for Indonesia, and my little one, 5 years old, was very concerned because he didn't know how to say thank you in that country yet. I'm like, buddy, that's so sweet.
It is so sweet.
Yeah.
It's just that I think it
Mm-hmm.
teaches people that we're more alike
Mm-hmm.
than you really realize,
Mm-hmm.
and not to just automatically look at the differences, but to look at the similarities as well and appreciate the differences, right? They can be great.
Yeah, because they're exotic and that they evoke curiosity in our kids, but also that kids also show us just how similar everybody is. We learn
Exactly.
habits and expectations as adults. The kids are just like, nah, this is fun. I'm going to go do this thing, uh, which
Exactly.
is great. Now, as parents, though, there's the myth that you can't travel with kids. And I think that starts first with just the logistics of it, which I know is one of the things that you present on your page, on your Instagram, and with your services. Just you think, okay, so I want to go to Kazakhstan. I'd like to go to Machu Picchu. How exactly am I going to do this with 2 3-year-olds?
That's what I asked myself.
Yeah. And what advice do you have?
I would say first, just take a breath, dude. Like it's
Mhm.
fine. You'll figure it out. You're a big girl or big boy. You'll
Mhm.
figure it out. So do it how you would plan it, right? So just, even if it was just yourself, first you need to think of how do you get there. So look at the options. Maybe it's best to catch a flight that is overnight. That way they'll be more prone to sleep because their body is naturally sleepy. Your body's naturally sleepy. Pray to God that everybody goes to sleep, right? So get there refreshed. And then now let's think, okay, what are the different ways to actually get to Machu Picchu and to explore it? Literally, we live in the Google phase. Google traveling to Machu Picchu with kids. I promise you, 5, 10, 20, 30, a million blog posts are going to come up that show how people have done it with their children. Take what you like, disregard the stuff that you don't. I mean, I think it's a lot simpler than people make it to be.
Mhm.
It's with anything else. Just research it a little bit and figure out what works for you and leave the stuff that doesn't.
Mhm. And that's great advice for parenting in general. The amount of information that is available to us right now, including your feeds, my podcast, and everything. If there's a question, there's answers. Now, they're not always great answers, right?
Right.
But
And you
there's
get to
something.
choose, right? You get to
Yeah.
choose if those are the
Mhm.
answers you like, or like, oh, I like this piece, but I don't like that piece. Let me figure out if there's a way for me to work around the part that I don't like.
Mhm. Exactly. And finding the blogger or the journalist whose experiences it is more your own. When I went
Exactly.
there with my boys, it was with my now ex-wife who was a polyglot and a black belt. So, we had a very different experience than say uh, a smaller single mom taking her kids somewhere,
Right.
and the very different
Exactly.
considerations.
Exactly. And also like you think about the age, like I don't necessarily listen to or watch blog posts or, take all the details of someone who has teenagers. What you do with teenagers and what you do with 3-year-olds, hopefully the teenager knows how to wipe themselves. A 3-year-old, not
Mhm.
so much, right? So
Yeah.
there's different things that we have to
Mhm.
take into consideration.
Mhm.
So finding someone that looks and it feels more like who you are and the place you're in life right now.
Excellent. And then just applying that. Now, you've been traveling with kids for a while, little ones yet.
Yeah.
You haven't quite dealt with the joys of a teenager while
No,
traveling,
I'm not ready.
which are kind of nice because they can carry their own stuff, which
That's
I'm a
true.
huge fan of. But what are some of the best insights you've gained on your travels with your kids? Some of the best tricks you figured out or found?
Oh, I will let them get their independence early. So
Mhm.
now on one of my last trips that I've traveled
Mhm.
solo with them, like they are experts. Whatever you want to bring, you carry. So they had their little backpacks on. They put their backpacks on the little thing to go into to TSA pre-check. They knew exactly what to do, how to put their stuff through
Mhm.
security. Like they were
Mhm.
ready. So give them more ownership, and they're 3, okay, so we're not talking about big kids here. Give them more ownership,
Mhm.
show them how to do it, and then let them try. Get there a little early so
Mhm.
you're not rushed and you don't feel panicked,
Mhm.
and let them explore because they learn so well. Like my kids board flights probably better than a lot of adults. Like they're ready. Let's
Yeah.
get on, let's go.
Yeah. And it sounds like this is something you could even rehearse at home. Where,
Yeah,
okay,
you
we're
can.
going to do this, bap, 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 and then when they get there, they can do it smoothly.
I mean,
Yeah.
100%. These are simple things
Mhm.
that they can know how to do and be ready. Like, oh my
Mhm.
God, guess what? Someone's going to ask you for your boarding pass. You get your own boarding pass. Now you got to be a big boy and give it to them. Are you ready? Are you sure you can do this? This is for big boys only. Stuff
Mhm.
like that, where they're like, yes, can't wait to get a boarding pass and give it to the person and get on the plane. I can do it.
Mhm.
So it's most definitely doable.
And that can actually bring some joy to us in what is, for most adults at this point, a tedious and annoying process.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
My wife has this philosophy, this idea that flight is a peak example of how humans behave because we have created the miracle of human flight, and we found a way to kind of make it suck,
Yeah.
which is just all you need to know about humanity in one statement.
Exactly. 100%. That's a
Yeah.
100% true.
Yeah, but with these little guys going through there, little girls going through there with their own boarding pass, and it can help us remember the miraculous aspects
Yeah,
of
the
travel
little
and flight.
things, yeah,
Hmm.
that we no longer like see the
Hmm.
joy in. You can see their
Yeah.
face light up and how excited they are to do things on
Mhm.
their own. It brings a little fun to it.
Yeah. It absolutely does. And then beyond the logistics, which is, it's challenging but surmountable. A lot of parents are also worried about safety traveling abroad.
Mm,
In some cases, I think that comes from a misunderstanding of how dangerous the rest of the world is. We had a guest he'll be on later this season, who what he does is he looks at the data, the safety data of different countries. He's actually got an app where you can compare it to your hometown. And he gave me a list of cities right here in the United States that are more dangerous than Sao Paulo and Mexico City.
Yeah.
And and
Yeah,
so
it's this
yeah.
thing that we do really well here, especially in the United States, of
Hmm.
thinking the way we do it is
Hmm.
100% the best, the safest, the
Hmm.
cleanest, the whatever. We're the best at every single thing, and that is so far from the truth. And that's a great
Hmm.
part about traveling. You get to see how other people do it. But that I think is just a false sentiment that we have
Hmm.
that going to other countries is not safe. And most definitely countries that maybe more like a black or brown country, people really have these ideas that
Hmm.
oh my God, it can't be safe going there. Like the amount of times I hear, was it safe there? I'm like, is it safe in New Orleans? Like that's where I live. Did you go to the second line? Was it safe when you went to the second line last week?
Hmm.
And you took your kids. What's the difference?
Yeah. Yeah, New Orleans was actually one of the cities on the list.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, you live in,
Yeah.
or anywhere, like
Hmm.
any major
Hmm.
city that you live in, like get over yourself. Like, obviously, what you would do here in a second line with thousands and thousands of people that are drunk, right? Doing whatever, God knows what, and you're keeping your kids safe. That's the exact same thing you would do walking down the street in Peru or wherever you may go to keep your kids safe, right? Most likely will go during the day. You'll most likely keep your kids close to you, like hold hands, or make sure the transportation mode you're taking is a safe form to do it. You think about it and you try to make the smartest decisions that you can. But just having the blanket statement that it's unsafe is far from the truth.
And I think that's really important what you mentioned, that we have safety instincts. If any of us live in a major metropolitan area or spent significant time there, we already know the main things we need to know.
Hmm.
I think one of the issues often is that when we get there, we're disoriented, so we're a little distracted, we're a little less able to access our those skills that we've built up. We know the second line is dangerous in New Orleans. We have no idea which of the lines is going to take you into a bad part of Kuala Lumpur
Right.
or Paris. Uh, have you do you have any ideas about what we can do about that with that research maybe, or resources that we can use to make sure we have that baseline of
Yeah.
information?
I mean, I think most definitely use your resources. So even if you're staying
Mhm.
at a hotel or you're staying even better at an Airbnb or a vacation
Mhm.
rental and you have access to the host, you might want to run like, hey, we're thinking about going here. It says take line A to get there. Anything we need to know about line A?
Mhm.
Just making sure that we're thinking about it properly and we're keeping ourselves safe. And most the locals give you insight to like, okay, yeah, take line
Mhm.
A, but make sure you don't go during this time and that. Do not get off on this exit, but if you keep going, you're going to go right past it. Get off on this exit, you'll be perfectly fine. You're like, okay,
Mhm.
cool. Like now I know what to look for and what to expect. So asking good questions to the people that you have access to that are locals and from there, concierge, that's what they get paid to do.
Mhm.
And a lot of Airbnb hosts are super helpful and friendly
Mhm.
on what to do and what not to do as well.
And that hotel staff, they respond to emails, so you can ask them before you're even in country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to reveal how old I am now by talking about traveling before the internet. And one of the best pieces of advice I got was you get in country and you overtip your cabbie just a lot. And then
They'll
and
tell it
then
all.
you they'll tell it all. They'll come meet you at the hotel the next day, and they become an incredibly powerful resource. Now in the days of Uber, that's a little different, but because you don't have, cabbies know the town in a way that Uber drivers don't.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
But I mean, you
but
can
it's
still
still,
even ask because they potentially
yeah.
could be a
Hmm.
very good local that knows.
Yeah.
So my husband's a chatty Cathy, so he usually asks all the
Hmm.
good questions while we're in the Uber, like
Hmm.
where should we go to eat? What time should we go there? What's the best places to do this,
Hmm.
this, and the third? So we get
Hmm.
a whole list from a local's perspective of what to do
Hmm.
and what not to do,
And because they are the experts,
and it's their house.
and exactly. Now, on the other side, there are some mistakes we often make. with our safety and with our logistics when we go into other countries, very common ones. Uh, do you have any hard learned lessons about things you ain't gonna do again?
I mean, I personally, and I guess it's safety, or maybe just do what you need to do to keep your mind cool, calm, and collected, and not have like be flustered, right? Because the more you're flustered, the less likely you are to pay attention to the clues and the signs that are needed to be around there. So, like, I learned that
Mm-hmm.
the hard way when traveling from Amsterdam to Paris, and I had the bright idea to take the train with the double stroller. Getting on and off of a train with a double stroller and luggage is not smart. Because you only got two hands and two babies, and then there's I mean, we had four hands, but still there's just so much stuff, and you're fearful that you got to get on and by a certain time, or the car seat or the stroller is going to be left outside at the stop while the train takes off. So like figuring out like, okay, these are the logistics I would like to take. This is what's going to be the best way to do it, and let me take the extra time, energy, resources, whatever, to keep myself calm and to keep myself aware of my surroundings and try to enjoy the moment and not be flustered, because I find we make the most mistakes when we're flustered, we're rushed, we're irritated, because then that most definitely when the kids want to act crazy as well. So do what you need just to be calm and be able to think through the process. And so I've learned when I do that, I make better decisions. And if you can swing it, spend the extra money if needed, right? So if you need to go and get the cabbie and you got to pay him a little extra so he can be your cab for the whole trip, or get a service that can take you to and from for the whole trip, look into doing that, because if that's going to make it easier and calmer and more relaxing, you're going to enjoy your trip more, and then you have somebody there that can help you in case you have any issues on how to maneuver wherever you may be. So that was probably my biggest learning of like, okay, this is not smart. Don't bring a lot of stuff, and I'm trying to manage all of this because I'm going to get irritated fast.
I think another thing that a lot of folks do, I know I've been guilty of it, is I get so excited and I want to do 14 things in a day. And
Yes, no,
you can't do that with the kids.
no.
You need to choose those battles a little more.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
I
got to
came
think
to,
about like
yeah.
rest. Like when can everybody rest? When can everybody chill? You know, think about that. Tantrums.
Yeah. My early international travel experiences were with my college roommate. We were two college jocks in their mid-20s. The amount of stuff we could do in a day,
Oh God, yeah.
not the right metric to judge
No,
your family vacation by.
not at all. Kids are not about that life. And you're not like
Mm,
the stuff that you do by
yeah.
yourself, and then you add a kid or two in it, the amount
Mhm.
of energy it takes to do it is significantly different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
And just that simplifying things as you need them. Like you said about taking things off the to-do list to focus on spending a lot of time doing the one cool thing instead of a
Hmm.
little time at each of six, or open up the purse strings a little bit to have the more convenient hotel or the cab for the day or
Yes.
whatever it is that you need.
Exactly. So that you can enjoy your vacation, like it's your vacation as
Mhm.
well. So you don't want to feel like a work slave during the whole thing, and you don't get a chance to enjoy the experience and the things that you
Mhm.
came to see. So I think that's
Yeah.
important as well.
Mhm. To remember, and that's the thing that I think a lot of parents need to be reminded, and I know I do, that hey, no, it's your job to have fun too. It's
It
not
is.
just you being on the clock.
Exactly. You
So,
set the mood. I find like the more that I'm like, oh, this is gonna be
mhm,
so exciting. Come on, guys, let's do
mhm,
it. They're more in like, okay, let's see what's exciting about this. So having that perspective is most definitely important.
mhm. No, I absolutely agree. Now, another thing that parents need to think about when they're traveling, and that's for safety or convenience. And convenience is safety because convenience means you have more energy to pay attention to the safety things,
Yes.
is gear, equipment,
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Hmm.
And I mean, the first rule of gear when you're traveling is don't bring gear, except for the gear you really need, right? The less you bring, the
The
less you bring.
better.
But what are some just indispensable things that you've found over your times of travel that's really helped?
How I get it now because of that Paris experience,
Mm,
how are we going to transport the kids from one thing to
mm,
another? So that's when I got the
mm.
is a GB pocket stroller. So the stroller can
Oh,
literally fold up and be on the overhead compartment in on an airplane or fit underneath the seat on a train or something like that. So now I can literally just
mm.
pick the kid up in the stroller and put them on the train instead of
Nice.
like trying to pick up this double stroller, or now that they're a little older and they're too big for strollers in their minds,
Mm,
doing a wagon, a collapsible wagon, so then that way they can get in, their luggage can get in, they can pull it, it collapse, I can pick it up. So it gives me the flexibility that I
mm,
need when traveling with them if they get tired, and to transport their stuff. I think that's a must. Also, because I have twins, so the thought of carrying two car seats for me personally is just,
mm,
again, I can't have a lot of stuff. I get very flustered. So I bought the CARES harness. CAERS harness is approved by the FAA to
mm,
use on the plane with the kids. So it's a 5-point harness, and it uses the straps of the airplane as well. So that helps keep them in
mm,
place and a little more safe than just using the regular, straps that come, or seatbelt that comes with the plane. So thinking of ways of,
mm,
are there collapsible car seats? If your kid is older, I think the company's Wayb, WAYB, their car seats collapse. So then that way you can carry them on, and fit
mm.
them in a little bag on your backpack instead of, for me, two big old
Yeah,
convertible car seats, which is
yeah,
not fun to carry. So just
mm,
thinking through things like
yeah.
that, like what are alternatives that I can use that I feel
Mm,
safe in having for my kids, but does not mean that I have to bring my 30-pound car seat, or even
oh,
the lighter ones are still pretty
mm,
heavy, especially when you got to carry two of them. Um, what are ways that I can maneuver around it? And that company has had their certifications by federal regulators and different things like that, so that I can still keep my kids safe, but make it easy for me.
yeah. And on the topic of car seats, that's something that you definitely want to apply your Google Food to before you go, because not every country has them standard on your rental car. Not every country has them
Mhm.
available in your rental car.
100%.
Mm, yeah.
Especially when you
And
think of third world countries, they don't use car
mm,
seats. So that's one thing that I do,
mm,
if I'm using a car company to transport me, 'cause especially in third world countries, they're really affordable. I ask if they have car seats. If they do say they have car seats, send me pictures. I
mhm.
want pictures of the car seats that you have, and then that way I can determine yay or nay if I'm going to bring my own.
Yeah. Yeah. When we were in Malaysia, the country was in the middle of a massive public health campaign to try to convince moms to put kids in car seats instead of their laps. And
That's different.
it was different. And the car seats that you could get from the rental car, they were not they were not up to snuff. And so
No.
we had to bring one from home, and
Yep,
that's but those are the things to look into and the kind of equipment you need to think about.
exactly.
Yeah. And the other equipment that just you could not don't leave home without it, like the old ad said.
Those will be the main thing. My CARES harness,
Mhm.
either my wagon or my GP pocket stroller. Oh, I have twins, so when they
Mhm.
were just walking and going crazy, I know some parents may think, oh, why would you do that? But the little backpacks, and then it has
Mhm.
little things that attach to my wrist, because again, one will go
Yeah.
this one will go that way in the middle of Atlanta airport. That is the last thing you want. I know because I've had that from an experience. So, yes, it may look crazy or not giving your kids as much freedom, but you have to do what's best for you and your kids, and what makes you feel comfortable and safe to be out in public with them. So, personally, that's what I used to do. Now they're old enough to know to stay close, then we don't have to do that anymore. But, think about that of, who cares what other people think? Like,
Yeah.
they don't
That
know you
backpack
and you
leash,
don't know
it's real
them.
helpful. It can be.
Yes.
Now we bought one for my youngest, and just the way it fit him, it was attached just below his center of gravity. So anytime we reached the end, he just tipped right over.
He tilts.
So we ended up putting it on him upside down, so the tail is up here by his collar, so and that worked just
Makes
fine.
sense. Oh my,
But
that's kind of
yeah,
funny, but
it was. I am a terrible father for how many times I laughed at that. Because usually
yeah,
it
it's just
wouldn't
like,
hurt; it'd just be this little tumble. You're 2 years old, you don't
yeah,
have
he's
that
like,
much weight.
right, what happened? Why am I on the ground? I'm like, oops, my,
Yeah,
my bad, sorry.
no worries. Yeah, it's funny. So then
I
there's the
love
flip
that.
side of the coin on gear, right? So there's stuff that as parents we pack, and then it takes up space, it takes up weight, and we don't use it at all the whole time. And it's the same stuff trip after trip. What are some things that you can
Yes.
can confidently tell parents? You know what? Leave it at home.
Uh, all the diapers that you need for the trip, because guess what? Most likely there's kids there and they pee and they poop and you can buy diapers there. Like diapers are bulky. Like there's no need to bring 3 weeks worth or 1 week or 10 days worth of diapers. Bring enough to get from the flight and maybe the day of, once you first get there because you may not want to run to the store right away and then buy a pack there. Especially like third world countries, you can actually even buy the diaper. So I know I'm going to be here for 3 days. Each kid uses 3 a day. Please can I have nine diapers or whatever you may need. And then that way you can save that space for what you really need instead of stuff that you can just buy there. I would also say like things that can be washable, especially if you're staying like in an Airbnb or a hotel that has a washer and dryer, like all of the undershirts, or now my kids are older, little underwear. I don't necessarily have to bring, enough to last the whole 10 days, especially their stuff is small enough that I can just throw it in the wash. Especially third world countries, you can get people to wash it for you very, very inexpensively. And it just makes life a lot easier. So that's kind of what we avoid bringing a whole bunch. I personally never brought like cribs or things for them to sleep in. I mean, I would have to bring two of them. So the thought of the ideal, I would never do it. But what you could think about is either where you're staying, so trying to get a hotel or Airbnb that already offers them, or think about are there inflatable ones? So I did just for camping, I did just get a little bed. Jet Kids just came out with a cloud bed where it's really small. It's probably like this big, and it inflates and you just inflate it with pumping your foot. So something small like that, if you know that you're going over grandma house or Auntie Jody's house and there's nowhere to sleep, then maybe thinking about it like that. That's kind of my perspective of just less is more and trying to figure out creative ways to do it. Even for us, like we don't live where our family is, so I bought car seats both for Milwaukee and Miami. I'm from Milwaukee, my husband's from Miami. They were $50 each. We bought them when they were infants, and now they're three. They've been using the same one, so we can just travel without car seats. When we get to Milwaukee, my mom meets us at the airport, their car seats are already in the car. So just thinking through things like that of what can I do just to make it simple and not have to carry so much junk.
Yeah. Now, on the topic of diapers, I would also really, really encourage any of my suburban hippie listeners who are going on the cloth diapers. That's very admirable, but give yourself permission to use disposable diapers when you're
Yeah.
traveling. Just give yourself permission to do that.
Yeah, that yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have any
Uh-huh.
other words, but
Yeah.
yeah. We
Yeah.
did use cloth diapers at night when they
Mhm.
were younger, and most definitely the cloth diapers did not travel with us. Let's just put it
No.
that way.
It's just, and like you said, that's a resource that's right there and available. And on the flip side, a lot of things, a lot of medication, first aid supplies, all of this is right there on hand. I mean, you want your little kit, but you don't have to
Yeah.
bring a 3 week supply because you can replace anything you
No.
use.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
don't have to bring a whole bunch of
Mhm.
stuff. Bring a couple of band-aids, 2 or 3
Mhm.
band-aids. You don't have to bring the whole box. I mean,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
just thinking through
Mhm.
what do I need to bring and try to keep it to the minimum, and whatever you, especially if you're traveling in the US. I mean, Walgreens is on every other corner.
Yeah. And if you are traveling abroad, another piece of Google Foo is the names for the medications. Like when we were in Malaysia, we were a month and a half in when I figured out what they called ibuprofen because it had an entirely different name, and I've been looking for ibuprofen in pharmacies, and I finally found somebody who spoke English to ask, "Hey,
Oh, that's so
what's the deal with the
smart.
ibuprofen?" And he
That's
told me,
so smart.
I was kind of being dumb up until that point. I got educated, but yeah, it's a different name, and so finding those things out, and for the same thing, finding out how to say in that language, "Hey, I need an ambulance. Hey, where's my kid?" Just those little
Yes,
things.
100%. I love that. I've never even thought about. Luckily, we've never had any medical issues to even think that far, besides whatever was in our little toiletry
Yeah,
kit. But that's actually really smart.
it's, it's just one of those things, and also you can do some research into the quality of the drugs there.
Exactly.
My my one of my family members had a prescription drug that they needed when we were living in Malaysia, and it turned out that the drug that was manufactured in country was not of high enough quality to do what they needed. And so we
Oh,
had to we had to talk with a native expert who who worked with expats to source us
the
the
right
stuff that
stuff.
works. And so that's also
Yeah.
more, if you've got kids who have medical needs, that's not a reason not to travel. It's just a reason to
Do your work.
prepare and do
Mm-hmm.
your homework.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that. And there's I think it's called Health Passport. And
Hmm.
they're like across I know the US in different cities and whatnot, where you can say, I'm traveling to this place and meet with an expert, and they tell you all the things that you need to think about when going there, the shots that you need. They can even administer the shots if you need them, and they'll kind of give you guidelines to think about. And that would be a perfect person to even ask about medicine, and they may be able to connect you with either another expert or like tell you what to do.
And also the quality of the hospitals. Like the city
Mm.
we were living in, we were told very clearly, anything worse than a broken arm, uh, leave town, go to Singapore, go to Bangkok, because there's nothing here.
Wow.
You know, and
Well,
it
that's
was
good to
very
know in
interesting.
advance, right?
Yeah.
So we're
Hmm.
like, look, y'all better not do anything crazy.
Exactly.
We're gonna have to get on the plane and get it, okay? You don't want to leave
Yeah.
here, do you?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. How do you say medevac in the local town? We
Exactly.
don't want to find out.
Exactly. Like let's not do
Mhm.
that.
And so, Marquita, you spend a lot of time, advising people, sharing your travels, dealing with clients, and you get asked a bunch of questions. I'm curious, is there a question that you wish people asked you more often?
Oh, that's a good question. Is there a question that I wish people ask me more often? I can't think of one. I think some of my favorite questions though
Hmm.
is there's like I want to do X, Y, and Z with my kids, or I want to take a mommacation for the first time.
Hmm.
People say I can't. Tell me how I can. I'm like,
Mm.
yes, let's
Yeah.
do it. Okay, what do you want to do? Let's figure out how to defy gravity and all of these naysayers,
Hmm.
and you show them that you're able to do it. Like I love, like those are my favorite questions to answer is how do I prove everybody wrong and do what I want to do and travel
Hmm.
either as a mom or travel with my family.
Because it's just problem solving. And as parents, we're natural solvers anyway. And you know who else is a natural problem solver? The kids.
The kids.
Get their creativity on that. It's amazing what they can do.
I mean, it's amazing how my kids know how to climb their drawers in my kitchen to get to the cabinets where the chocolate is on the top shelf.
Mhm.
They figure it out. Like that's the thing. Kids are adaptable. No one had to tell him to climb the drawers and get to the cabinet.
Mhm.
He figured it out himself. It's the same thing of like, hey buddy, we want to do this. How do you think is the best way to do it? And maybe give them
Mhm.
some options. These are our three
Mhm.
options that we can
Mhm.
do on this trip. Which one sounds more fun? And then that way they're engaged, they want to do it, they're excited, they're a part of the journey and the experience. So give people more grace or give kids more grace than we think that they deserve because they're they're pretty smart.
Yeah. And Another version of that also is when you're thinking about safety matters, a lot of parents have the opinion that you shouldn't talk to kids about safety stuff because you don't want to scare them. But instead, if you can talk to them about, hey, this is a thing that happens in this country that I'm worried about, and it might
Mm-hmm.
be the traffic's crazy, or it might be that there's a lot of purse snatchings in this neighborhood. Let's talk together about what we're going to do about that, because then they get to
Yeah.
see you solving safety problems, which to me is much less scary than.
Yes. And it shows that
Mhm.
there's yes, things there may be scary things in life, and there are always going to be scary things in life, but that doesn't mean allow the scary things to stop you. It means let's
Yeah.
develop a strategy and be prepared for if these things happen, this is what we're going to do, or these are the things we're going to do to try to mitigate the risk of this happening. Kids are really adaptable in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you also have a teammate, which is nice.
Exactly.
You know, yeah, I was fortunate. My boys are 10 years apart, so it was pretty easy to rope the older one into helping out. I could not imagine doing it with twins. Good Lord.
Yeah, but I mean, they've
Mhm.
done a really good job. I'm really shocked at how adaptable they are, and just they get it. They really do get it. It's just being exposed to it. They know what to do and how to make it happen.
And I think that's important that they get it. International travel is so good for everybody, and giving our kids that experience earlier, just they get it. They appreciate things. If you're a very patriotic person, there are very few things to make you appreciate being able to drink the water straight out of the tap, like spending a couple weeks not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you know,
A
if
hundred
you're
percent.
if you're more exploratory, there's nothing like getting them out into the world to sample the different ways of living and making the decisions of which ones they like best.
Yeah, and then like all the different foods and
Mhm.
cultures, and it's such a beautiful experience for
Yeah.
kids. And then you get to see it through their eyes as well. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
That is a problem that I was never able to solve personally. So if you have any advice, so you're in a fabulous country with all kinds of fabulous foods, and your kid wants chicken freaking nuggets, and nothing else will do. Yeah, so.
So what I tell, because my kids are eaters, but the thing
Mhm.
I think what makes them eaters, well, it's
Mhm.
genetics. My husband and I love food, but secondly, we eat different foods at home.
Mhm.
So one day we just had pho. The day before we eat, Ethiopian food. So they know what that is. They know, with the different ramens, the arepas, my, what did he say? He said, Mommy, do you like empanadas? Empanadas are so yummy. I'm like, I do like empanadas. So like just expose when you're here at home. We live in the US, there's such a variety of food,
Mhm.
exposing them to it here so they're not necessarily eating chicken nuggets every day at home. Then that's when they're out traveling, they're more willing and open to try different foods because it's just what they do at home anyways. It's not that big of a difference. And most definitely during the pandemic, that was a great way for us to travel, was like
Mhm.
having different foods from different countries and then doing a little like learning about that country and or food because it kept that travel curiosity alive.
Wow, that is a very smart idea. So, Marquita, thank you so much for taking your time today. Before we go, could you tell folks where can people find you, find out what you're doing?
Yeah, so the traveling twin mama, on Instagram, on Pinterest, and the website, thetravelingtwinmama.com. And yeah, I love to give tips and inspiration to help women and families travel with confidence. I understand a lot of our travel woes or intimidation is just because we're not confident on how to do it. So you can do it. I'm here to help for sure.
Fantastic. And we'll make sure those links are in the show notes.
Perfect.
So, thank you so much, Marquita. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.